Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles. What do you mean warships? Put the crack pipe down, old man, this is clearly World of Tanks. Ah, well yes, but Alex the Snowflake here is in the British Tier 10 light tank, the Manticore. And as we all know, because Wargaming said so, the British light tanks are light tanks with battleship guns. Ooh, so what's that then? 12 inch? 14 inch? 15 inch? 16 inch? Do I hear 18 inch? It's 105mm, so 4.1 inch. So it's not even destroyer caliber. It's a medium tank gun, isn't it? Yeah. The battle kicks off, and Battleship Manticore charges forward in the time-honoured tradition amongst light tanks in World of Tanks in being the first one to rush forward and get all of the early spots. This is going to be something of a good news, bad news situation, because Alex is going to get all of the early spots. But the problem in rushing forward right at the start of the battle to get all of the early spots is that nobody on your team is in a position to actually shoot at any of the tanks that you've spotted. So it's largely, well, not a complete waste of time. You do at least get some intel on which way some members of the enemy team are going. But other than that, unless you're extremely careful, the only thing that usually happens is you're the first one on the team to die because you've rushed so far forward, and in spotting all of those enemy tanks, they spot you too, and, well, at least Alex has a handy rock to hide behind. As does the enemy Sheridan on the other side of the lake. Oh, I should probably point out right now that while I was recording this video, Alex commands his tank from a very unusual perspective. Basically this, looking straight down the barrel of his gun. So anytime you see the camera pull back into third-person view, that's basically me pulling the camera back, as I'm doing right now, in order to not just take a look at what's going on around Alex, but so that you can actually see how he's using the concealment to give himself the best chance. Being able to do something like that and then pop back into cover after taking a shot at the Sheridan without taking any return fire. Although people have been firing at the bushes around the sides of those rocks because they do know that there's somebody here. Now, for the first couple of minutes of this battle, Alex is basically going to be, well, doing this, trading shots with the Sheridan on the far side of the lake. While this is ongoing, I just want to draw your attention to the minimap. Because while there's not a huge amount happening over here, a fairly typical World of Tanks battle is unfolding everywhere else. At the northern end of the map we have 4 friendlies, plus some artillery, desperately trying to hold back at least 8 enemy tanks. Meanwhile down to the south, the opposite situation is unfolding. The one difference being that the 8 friendlies to the south are taking their sweet time dealing with the 4 enemies to the south, who are in fact fighting them to a standstill. But that is not happening up on the north. Those 4 friendlies are getting overrun real fast. And nobody's shooting at the scout. Alex has had him spotted for at least 10 seconds. He's going to have a go himself. That looked like it hit, but no damage. On the bright side, the Sheridan is still spotted. Would anybody like to do anything about it? Alex hits him with a second shot but gets himself spotted in the process, and the team have now been completely overrun to the north, and there is nothing between all of those enemy tanks and the cap circle. A third of Alex's team is dead, and they've only just managed to get their second kill. The 8 friendlies to the south still haven't finished dealing with all 4 of the enemies to the south, and they're now being forced to fall back and defend their own base. Not great, but it could have been a lot worse. They are at least reacting to the fact that there are enemy tanks behind them, overrunning their base. Meanwhile, you know what, we're going to have to go third-person camera here again, just to give you a better idea of exactly what it is that Alex is doing. I think he was looking for the Guerrilla 15, because the very last thing that the base defenders need is for that thing to pop up behind them with its 150mm gun. But, whoa, he nearly flipped. He would have, well, he might have got some help from the IS-7 who's following him, but best to not flip. But he can't spend the whole day searching for the Guerrilla 15. The situation is unfolding elsewhere. So he's now moving into a position where he should hopefully be able to get some spots and some juicy flank and rear shots like that into the attacking tanks. Give them something else to worry about other than the base defenders. They're still losing by 5 kills. This is not great. Positioning himself here behind this bush, the turret pointing over the rear of the tank in order to give them a quick getaway. And hang on a second, there's the Guerrilla 15. Okay, that's good news. That's better news. Ducks back into cover. did get spotted, obviously. He wasn't the recommended 5 meters away from the bush when he fired through it. Gives it a couple of seconds to drop off radar. So that's the Grille 15 and one of the enemy team's 2 Kranwagens who are not attacking the base. And that is honestly the best he can really do at the moment. Now the Kranwagens mostly hold down and has a notoriously tough turret, but while he was occupied with the IS-7 charging him down, good job IS-7 by the way, he turned the turret just enough to give Alex a shot, even though it was quite well angled, and I was very surprised to see the shot go through, but he put it through the less well armoured ammunition bustle at the back of the turret. So there's kill number 2, and there's kill number 3. So while Alex is busy racking up the kills and giving those attackers something to worry about at their rear, if you've been paying attention to chat, you'll not be surprised to see that all of the members of Alex's team are busy playing the blame game. Whose fault is this disaster? Even though it's not really a disaster yet. I mean, sure, they're down to the last 4 tanks and there are 7 enemies. They're down to their last 3 tanks and there are 6 enemies. It's still winnable. It's not good, but it's still winnable. And honestly, the last thing the surviving members of the team need to worry about right now is you lot crying in chat about whose fault it was. Alex spotted, jumps straight over the railway embankment, guesses that it was the ST2 behind him who spotted him, so jumps right back over the railway embankment, and he's looking for those enemy tanks. Probably not going to be in time to save the E100, but the E100 has done his job. But this is where things are going to start to get a little bit ridiculous, because let's just stop and talk for a second about this battleship 105mm gun on the Manticore. It's a big gun for a light tank, but the reload is horrible. Unmodified, you're doing 390 damage every 14 seconds. So unlike other light tanks that have relatively large caliber guns, let's just pick one completely at random, like, oh I don't know, the Russian T100LT, which does 300 damage every 7.8 seconds, unmodified, you can't stick around fighting multiple opponents in the Manticore. It's very much a hit and run tank. But Jingles, what if you can't hit and run because there are enemies everywhere? Well, that depends on how you interpret the phrase hit and run. Let's see how Alex interprets the phrase hit and run. Well, there's the hit, and there's the hit, and now watch him run. Totally worth it. Manages to get a parting shot into the Batchat 15558, who's a fast artillery, but he's not as fast as this thing. And while the Batchat very unwisely scrambles to chase after him, giving Alex time to actually reload that 105mm gun, there's kill number 8, successful base defense, and the Radley Walters medal, and that just leaves the ST2, who's going head to head with, we'd forgotten about the IS-7 there for a moment, didn't we? But while the IS-7 is face tanking the ST2, Alex has his flank. And you can say what you like about this 105mm gun, it may have a very, very slow reload, but it is accurate. And there's kill number 9. Just one short of the Pools medal for Alex the Snowflake in the British Tier 10 light tank, the Manticore. Not a huge amount of damage there for Alex's 9 kills, only 3,000, which probably explains why it was a first class rather than an ace tanker, but hey, somebody had to kill them. This was very much a case of never mind the quality, just feel the width. Whichever way you look at it, 9 kills is absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. Congratulations, Alex, well done. Everyone else, I hope you enjoyed this episode of World of Warships with Battleship Manticore, and as always, take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.